I never thought I'd be standing on my own porch at midnight, shotgun in hand, facing down a pack of hired thugs with my dog tearing into one of them while the HOA president screamed for my surrender. But that's where I ended up, and it all started with a smashed gate, a bleeding calf, and a woman named Veronica Sloan, who thought she could bully me into submission. She was wrong. That night, when it began, the silence hit me harder than the crash. One moment, my cows were lowing soft and steady in the pasture. The next, there was nothing, just an eerie stillness that made my skin crawl. Then I heard the splintering wood. My gate, the one I built with my own hands, was being torn apart. Rex, my German shepherd, erupted in a growl so deep it rattled my chest. I grabbed my boots and my shotgun, heart hammering, already knowing this wasn't some random accident. Through the window, I caught the flash of headlights sweeping like searchlights. By the time I stepped outside, the floodlights snapped on, bathing everything in stark white. 3 men in dark clothes stood over the wreckage of my gate. One held a crowbar, glittering with fresh splinters. Behind them, my cows were panicking, hooves thundering. And then I heard a calf cry out, a sound that froze my blood. My calf lay injured, blood streaking its leg. That was it. That was the moment rage took over. Rex shot forward like a missile, slamming one thug off balance. The others scrambled, cursing, retreating toward their SUV. I leveled my shotgun, fired a warning shot that cracked the night open, and yelled, "Get off my property and tell whoever sent you." Sam Grady doesn't scare easy. They bolted, taillights disappearing into the dark. But one of them had dropped a wallet. Inside was a receipt, a bank transfer straight from Meadowbrook Heights HOA. Veronica Sloan's name might as well have been written in blood across it. The next morning, she came rolling up my driveway in a spotless white BMW Blazer, pressed sharp enough to cut glass heels sinking into my gravel like she owned the place. She barely glanced at the wrecked gate, at my limping calf. Instead, she smiled that plastic smile and held out a thick folder. "Mr. Grady," she cooed, "this association can prevent such terrible incidents." I flipped through her contract, bile rising in my throat, $300 a month, restrictions on my barn, paint control over my dairy distribution. It wasn't community, it was a stranglehold. I handed it back with a smirk. Why not just take the barn keys while you're at it? That should have been the end of it, but it was only the beginning. Within days, rumors spread that my cows were diseased. Customers I'd sold milk to for years started calling to cancel orders. Then, an inspection team led by Veronica herself marched onto my property, 15 people strong. They poked at equipment they didn't understand, and right in front of everyone, one of my healthiest cows suddenly collapsed, foaming at the mouth. Cameras flashed. Veronica's voice rang out. "This facility is unsafe," like she was the governor of the county. By the time the vet came, the cow was fine. Too fine. It had been staged. But the damage was done. Word flew faster than I could stop it. I can't lie, those weeks broke me down. I'd walk into the barn and see my herd calm and healthy, but outside the phone kept ringing with cancellations, neighbors whispering, vendors cutting ties. And then the ear tags disappeared. Every single cow stripped clean like some ghostly surgeon had gone through in the night. Without those tags, my herd was worthless in the eyes of the law. Buyers wouldn't touch my milk. I sat at the kitchen table with a blank letter to the auction house, ready to sell the animals my family had raised for 3 generations. My hands shook so hard I could barely hold the pen. Maybe Veronica was right. Maybe I couldn't win. Maybe it was easier to just give in. But then Rex pawed at a pile of feed sacks and pulled out a bag stuffed with my missing tags. Clean cuts, precise, deliberate. Not vandalism, sabotage. At that same moment, a call came from Jake Morrison, an old college friend turned investigative journalist. I spilled everything. Every attack, every threat. He listened, then said, "Sam, this isn't just one HOA president. This is organized extortion. You fight, and I'll help expose it." For the first time in weeks, I felt fire in my chest again. The harassment didn't stop. If anything, it got uglier. My water pump sabotaged strangers caught raking white powder near the troughs while photographers staged shots to make my farm look like a plague pit. Sheriff Hayes came out, saw the damage, saw the planted evidence, and I could tell the wheels were turning in his head. At the town meeting, Veronica paraded a so-called health inspector who spewed technical nonsense. I called him out. Neighbor Emily stood up with a secret video of the powder dump and the room cracked down the middle. Veronica lost her composure, screaming that I was a danger to the whole community. For a moment, even her supporters flinched, her mask slipped. She leaned close to me after the meeting, voice like ice. "You just signed your own death warrant." That night, the warrant came knocking. Literally. Midnight, heavy footsteps on my porch. Veronica flanked by 4 men built like linebackers. She waved papers under the porch light. "Court order for immediate inspection," she declared, though her voice trembled. I kept the chain lock in place and said flatly, "Court orders don't come with muscle at midnight." 2 of her men moved toward my windows. That's when Rex exploded out of the door, teeth clamping onto one man's arm. He screamed, dropped like a stone. I stepped out with my shotgun and fired a round into the night sky. "Next one goes lower," I shouted. The other thugs froze. Veronica shrieked at them to take me down, but their courage evaporated fast when they saw her paperwork shaking in her hands. Sirens wailed in the distance. Sheriff Hayes's patrol cars rolled in, lights flashing. Jake was there too, camera rolling. Under the harsh beam of my porch light, the court order looked official until Hayes held it up and declared, "This is fraudulent. Wrong, formatting, fake signatures. This is criminal." His deputies slapped cuffs on Veronica as her thugs were hauled off. Rex stood over the bleeding man, eyes blazing, while neighbors gathered at the edge of my drive, whispering. In that moment, Veronica's empire collapsed. The sheriff announced investigations across multiple states. Fraud, extortion, fake inspectors staged sabotage. She was just one head of a hydra that had preyed on dozens of families. And it all unraveled because she tried to break one stubborn farmer with a dog and a shotgun. As Hayes led her toward the cruiser, she looked back at me with venom. "You think this ends it?" she hissed. But the fear in her eyes told the truth. Her power was gone. That's where my story ends. Not with celebration, not with champagne. Just the sight of Veronica Sloan in handcuffs, her empire of intimidation burning down around her. And the lesson I carry with me is simple: bullies only win if you let them.